The play is about a woman called Elizabeth Eaton Converse, who was the first singer-songwriter of the genre before Joni Mitchell, before Bob Dylan were doing it. She didn't get much notoriety or fame through her work, so not long after her 50th birthday she had a couple of health issues, and she basically wrote a load of letters to her family, packed up her car and went missing. And she's still a missing person. The recordings of her work have only been done from one party in May 1954, and they were revived in 2004 by her friend Jean Deitch, who recorded those songs for her and brought them onto a radio show, and people were like, we want to hear more about this woman. And it's just about being a woman at that time where with struggles with addiction or queerness and mental health. It features lots, so it's like a play with musical elements in it, so there is singing, there's songs, and it's great working with all these lots. So me and Roisin co-wrote the play throughout the pandemic, so we started working on it in the summer of 2019, just with the initial research into her life and what the life was like for her at that time and what the area in America was like. And then we'd done 2 individual scripts initially, read them to the company, and they're like, can you just merge them? And so we spent a lot of lockdown basically going through line by line each of the scripts. The idea of Connie came about, we were working on our last production, The Death of a Muse. I was making costumes, and Sarah and Roche basically came into my room and was like, hey, we've got an idea for a play, we want you to play her, you look like her in pictures and you play guitar. They showed me a picture, I was like, I can't deny I kind of do look like her, and I play guitar, okay, can I help with writing it, because I love writing and doing the behind the scenes bits. So it was a passion project. So I was hired before the script was even written. It was just listening to one of her songs and looking at her pictures.
I found her on Spotify, and I was listening to the music and I thought, oh, there's some real themes in here that I identify with as a queer person, and I was thinking this is really someone that must be alive nowadays and writing about her experience just being a queer woman today. But whenever I looked it up and it was actually a song from the 1950s, I was really shocked, and I thought, wow, I have to know more about this woman. And then I found out that she was a missing person after that, and it was like, this is a story that's begging to be told, really. And looking into her, there was so little information because so few people knew about her. We found Jean Deitch's real interview that he did in 2004 online, so we were able to get primary sources and draw actual dialogue that they said on the podcast into the play. And then as we dove further and further, we found there's a real passionate community about Connie's work, which is how we got into contact with the American author who's writing a book about her. And we had someone send us a link to a documentary that they made about her, and that wasn't available anywhere online, so it was really good that through social media we were able to find these little pockets of really passionate fans for someone that we're also really passionate about.
It was all about that melancholy of failure, and no matter how much you try kind of thing, it never paid off, and we thought there was something quite poetic in that. And then looking into the actual lyrics of her work, it was just, you could see that she was had a longing and was reaching out for someone or something to just grab onto. And I think we kind of all felt an attachment to that, and all could relate to that. And then and I think for me, looking more and more into her life, I could see parallels with my own and mental health stuff, and it was okay, this is actually someone that I'm really interested in and really we want to do her story justice, and I feel like we have done.
Definitely. I think it's so interesting because I'd never heard of her either, and many people just haven't, but she has such an interesting story to tell, and I think it's kind of very telling of the time that she'd come from as well. I think as a woman, and there's kind of themes of her perhaps being gay, and there's a kind of little hints that she did have a lot of mental health issues, but in that time that's kind of very pushed aside, so we don't really talk about it or know about it, so it's kind of nice to kind of bring her to life, I suppose. Yeah.
I think another interesting thing's been the characters that surround her as well. So throughout most of the play she has 2 friends who live close to her. YouTube wise, was maybe like 1 or 2 interviews with people who knew her, and then the odd song here and there, which, like the recordings of it are very, you know, there's that big.
They're bad. You can say it. She was drunk in a lot of them, like, and her
Just at parties with her friends, just recording them.
But then, like, we do talk about her alcohol dependency as well, so it does. You can see the parallels in her life and her mental illness through her work, but we were like, the lyrics are the important bit of it. They're the bits where she's really saying how she feels, where she's at. And
because she had so many friends in her life, it was really important to us to show the levity of Connie's personality as well as the darker sides, because you need the light and the dark, and the events that just lead up to her ultimately deciding to go missing and whatever she did after that, maybe start her life again, or
it's less so about a play about a missing woman, but it's just a play about a really interesting woman that happened to just go missing.
A really talented woman that deserved a better shot.
Yeah, like a lot of the time when we explain the play, it sounds like a really sad and depressing story, because the important bits that are the details that hook the audience in are those like big moments that were really difficult for Connie. But there is a lot of humour in like this show. Like I particularly love like Johnny's portrayal of Jean, because even from the first audition video, I was howling. Like it's just really, it brings such a levity. It's really funny. There are real funny moments in this show.